What are 4 relationship must-haves to be healthy? Well, I think it's very interesting that Harvard did a long study of adult development, and they found that the most important contributor to overall well-being is the quality of our relationships. So that's super impactful to us and our well-being are the quality of our relationships. So for me, getting out of a situation that unfortunately didn't have much choice because the other party was not willing to see their side or wanting to work with it, even when confronted by a counselor. So that left me in a situation where I chose to divorce. And that also was a process. And then I had to retrain my brain in all sorts of healing and get myself in just a much better spot because I was 50% of the relationship that imploded, and I didn't want to do that again, and I needed to heal and learn from that experience. So then it's like, let's talk about relationships must have. And I would say that there's 4 things: conflict resolution, intimacy, a similar vision, and playing or bonding, finding a way to bond in that way. So the first 2 are very interesting because conflict resolution and intimacy can actually be learned. So let's start with conflict resolution. So conflict resolution, you've got, kind of a spectrum there. You've got you have a conflict and then one person is verbally aggressive or defensive or verbally lashes out and does not want to necessarily have a calm resolution. And then you have the other side where it's stonewalling and the silent treatment and not willing to, work it out. So both of those are both terrible ways to have conflict resolution. And a lot of times conflict doesn't get resolved or there's just damaging effects from it. So it's really important to have healthy conflict resolution. And many of us weren't taught that this is how we have healthy conflict resolution. For me, in my 22-year domestically destructive relationship, it was the silent end of it. It was the stonewalling, the refusing to talk about, refusing to even discuss anything that might be perceived as conflict. But whatever we grew up with, is often what our comfort level is. So if we regularly didn't see our parents resolve conflict in a healthy way, then it's easy to do whatever pattern we saw. Did we see our parents yell at each other and call names or be destructive towards each other? Did we see them just ignore and pretend like nothing was wrong and just wear a mask all the time? What was going on? So in my family of origin, I really didn't see any conflict, and things were done more, passive aggressively, and conflict was never just addressed. So conflict resolution, to be able to work it out, is a process. It's a learning thing. You have to realize you are a team. You have to be able to talk about it in a way where you're not like so emotional that you're going to it's going to create some destructive words or anything else. And there's just a process to it rather than saying you did this and you did that. It's really like I feel really hurt because when that happened, this is how I looked at it. And it's super important to know that 90% of conflict is misunderstandings. So with Michael and I, my husband, I assume first of all that he loves me. I assume that we are a team working together, and I assume we can talk about it and work things out, and we will both want to work it out. So that was actually when I was looking, it took me a while to even consider wanting to get remarried. And I've actually had some people ask me, it's like, you were married for 22 years. Why did you even want to get remarried? I know a number of people really are turned off about the idea of marriage after having an emotionally destructive or religiously destructive situation. For me, I never felt like I was married. Because, my ex-husband or my husband was really my least closest friend. And it was just a sad situation. I never felt close to him. And so, when I read the Bible and that God created marriage and it was good and all this stuff, I just really had no experience with that. So for me, I'm like, I actually believe God that it can be good and it can be beautiful and constructive. And I will wait until if God wants me to have that relationship, I will, but that is my requirement, is that it will have to be healthy. So honestly, I was all about like a person needing to be able to have conflict resolution and being able to do it in a healthy way, because not having conversations and the passive aggressive can destroy a relationship just as much as verbally aggressive conversations. And really, relationships get built up or destroyed one conversation or lack of conversation at a time. And I took it very seriously. So, in order to have a conflict resolution, I really believe there has to be a level of emotional intelligence. And I feel like, in general, we hear that guys don't have as much emotional intelligence than girls. But really, it just can differ a lot. But emotional intelligence is you have to be able to say what you feel and be connected with yourself and be able to be like, yeah, I actually feel really hurt, or I feel really angry because of this, and I want to talk about it. You have to have that ability to be connected with yourself. So that was important to me. So conflict resolution skills, and it can be taught, it can be learned, and it is vital to a relationship. Would you like to start your Live Brighter journey with some free printable affirmation? There's nothing like reminding yourself of God's truth about you. Click the link below. And then the second one is intimacy. In order to have intimacy, you have to have low stress and then vulnerability, and then being able to comfort one another. That is a skill as well. So in my previous relationship, there was just no room for vulnerability or comfort. It was a very high stress situation, always walking on eggshells because of, if I left anything out with the house not being perfectly clean, there was just a lot of passive aggressive pain involved with that. So it was not intimacy. I called my husband my least closest friend, and that's because he was. And that's really sad, because we were, good friends when we were dating. And then as soon as we got married, it was a whole different story. That's called love bombing, by the way. I didn't know that term for many years. But intimacy is low stress, vulnerability, and ability to comfort. If you didn't have that as a child and you haven't learned how to do that, that is something that can be learned. I really like Kay and Milan, I think Yurkovic's book called How We Love. That's a fabulous book to learn how to be able to have intimacy and be able to comfort. So that was super important. Is, when I started dating Michael, I had to first of all be willing to be vulnerable, which felt very unsafe to me, but I knew that was important. And then he had, his response to that, and his ability to comfort and understand and not be defensive, but really just try to understand, created just a lot of intimacy, emotional intimacy. And for me and women, emotional intimacy is, a big part of intimacy. Like without that, physical intimacy can be very difficult. So that emotional intimacy is important. And I think it's just as important to men. I think it's just gotten a little disconnected in our society, or maybe it's not quite at the same level, but I do believe that emotional intimacy for a man is very important as well. My husband would say so as well. So the third one is similar vision. So I think this is really important, or even just the respect of another person's vision. So if one person's vision is like, I want to work really hard and get wealthy, and that's what I want to do, and I want to have lots of things. And the other person's vision is like completely different. I want to serve, I want to love others, I want to this, and they are completely different, and their visions are not equally respected. That can create a problem. I find it easier to have a similar vision. But I don't think it would be impossible if you had different visions and just supported each other in your different visions. For me, I realized that my love for God really manifested in loving others. And so I really needed someone that viewed God that way, that it wasn't like, I love God, I check off the box, and I'm good. I don't really care about others. For me, I really believe that loving others is why we're here. And I just have a lot of love for others, and really, a lot of care. And I really wanted somebody that was similar in that vision. And Michael is the same way. He's a wonderful businessman, and he loves God, and he really shows that by loving others and how he treats others with love and respect. So that's super important. And then fourth thing I'm going to talk about is the ability to have fun together, however that looks. Being able to understand each other's humor, or being able to, for me, I'm a very playful person, and I just thought everybody was playful, but not everyone is, and that's okay. It doesn't matter. But I really like to be able to play and be a little goofy, be a little silly, and all of that. And that's really bonding to me, to be able to, I don't want to be like having to fit in a box and be perfect and look perfect. That doesn't really work for me because, honestly, I'm imperfect and wonderful at the same time. And I really enjoy just the ability to be lighthearted and play and have fun. So I really enjoy that. So those are the 4 relationship musts that I really prioritize when I started dating. And I didn't do a lot of dating because I was very I got very aware of my musts and be like, I've built a beautiful life and I love my life. And if I were to have someone, they'll be a healthy addition to my life. But I'm not going to wait around for that person. They're not going to complete me. They're just going to be a beautiful addition in God's timing. And I did, put myself out there and made myself available. I wasn't like, I'm going to just wait for it to happen and then not do anything. So I am really thankful that I prioritize those relationship musts of conflict resolution, intimacy, similar vision, and the ability to, play, have some bonding. And I have to say that Michael and I have those things, and it is a beautiful relationship. Now I understand why God says marriage is good. Like we are a team. He's got my back. He's my best friend, and I'm really grateful for that. In the next episode, we're going to talk about when you don't have those relationships and kind of what to do when you're in one of those relationships, and we'll talk about that next. So anyways, if you want more information, you can go to livebrighterwithtara.info. Always love the 5-star review because that helps this get out to other people that may not always have that available to them. And I would just say 1% every day. Just grow. That's it. Keep it simple. And I believe in you. Have a great day.